Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with Season 2, Episode 1, finally, of Jujutsu Kaisen. This is big. This is something I've been waiting for since I finished Season 1, and we finally got it. We're finally here. Um, so technically it's been out for 3 weeks, but we are doing the dub. We're continuing with the dub because that's what we did with Season 1. Plus, even though I like the original Japanese for this series, I just prefer the dub. I think the voices are better. Especially for certain characters like Gojo. Like, I very strongly prefer Gojo's English voice. And his Japanese voice actor is great, but he just doesn't have the same kind of, like, whimsy that the English voice actor has. It's just not the same to me. Um, so and that's definitely going to be important because I do know Gojo is going to have notable screen time in this season. Um, I don't know all the details, but I believe it said that we're going to be looking into his backstory. Um, that's pretty much all I know about it. Which means we're probably going to see stuff with Suguru Geto, who we know was his best friend. Um, because that's just straight up said in the Zero movie. So that's going to be interesting to see maybe where Geto got his entire hatred of humanity from. Um, that's very possible, I feel. I don't know how else this is going to go though. I don't know exactly what to expect with this season. All I know is that people are very excited about, I guess, some of the content that's going to be in it. Like I said, I don't know what to expect. I've told you what I know about it. I haven't watched the trailers or whatnot. Um, but I am very interested. Very interested to see what we end up getting. Because season one was great. I've watched it multiple times, and it's just really good. It surprised me. If you remember, like with the first episode, it actually really surprised me by how good it was. Um, because I thought it was going to be just kind of okay at best. But the fact that it is like very reminiscent of Bleach in the best ways, but also in some ways better, and the intensity, the characters are super likable and interesting. There's a lot of good humor, but also really good intense action, terrifying sequences. It's just it gets really really good really quickly. And it doesn't let go from there. I mean, we're eventually introduced to Maki Zenin, and she's like the absolute best. Like I am very much Team Maki here. Like I know almost everyone is for some reason Team Toto. Like I don't entirely get it. He's so annoying to me. And his entire thing with like objectifying women is also very upsetting. Um but I've warmed up to him a little bit, I'll admit. I find him entertaining at least, but he's no Maki. Like Nobara understands, Maki is the best. She's amazing. She's so cool. She is so damn cool. Sometimes that's what you need in a character, someone who just exudes coolness. And getting to see her in Jujutsu Kaisen Zero interacting with Yuta and everything was great as well. Also, she's petty as fuck, and I love it. Like, she is just actively super petty against the Zenin clan, and it's just wonderful. And considering, how she was raised and treated, it's fair as well. So I'm very excited for Maki to return. But I'm excited for everyone else as well, like Toge and Panda. I actually remember Toge's name, which is a surprise. But we also have our bad guys and everything. We have a lot being set up. And I'm very excited to see just how all of this ends up moving forward from here. Will, for example, Okotsu return? Will he be returning from his trip abroad soon? Because we saw Gojo had gone to where he and the other guy were. I can't remember the other guy's name right now. But he had gone to visit them. So that feels like it's working up to Okotsu returning. And him meeting Yuji would be great because they're actually kind of similar. Yuji's just a little more self-confidence, let's put it that way. um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to expect with this. I'm extremely hyped though, and I haven't seen the opening by the way yet. I've been actively avoiding checking out the opening until the reactions. Um, I've heard people like it though, and I'm curious because I really loved the first opening from season one, but I was not as big a fan of opening two. Opening two, I felt like just wasn't as exciting and fun as opening one. The song just wasn't as good. The visuals didn't match as well. I'm hoping that this one brings it back up. Um, we'll see. But I believe this season has like one less episode than last season. I think it's like 23, which is a really weird number for an episode count, but whatever. Um, I wonder why that is, if I'm correct. I wonder, like, because usually with a lot of these shows that have multiple seasons, they'll keep the episode count consistent. Like, I mean, for the most part, My Hero Academia does. The first season had less episodes, but all the other seasons, I think, all have the same amount. And the first season, I want to say had less just because it was still new at that time. They were like kind of feeling out the waters to see if it was going to catch on as well. But I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it works out with this season. Either way, let's get into it. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then it fades back in. Everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, we just went right into this. We went right into this backstory stuff. I was actually a little surprised by that. It's like it didn't hold back. But before we get into all of this, just to get this out of the way right away, not a big fan of the opening. I honestly think it's kind of boring. It really sucks because it's like, I think this is the weakest opening so far. I actually think this is weaker than opening 2 from season 1. But it might grow on me as I watch it more and more. We'll see. This is just based on purely first impressions on it. And the ED I would say is pretty much on the same level as ED2. Still nowhere near the quality of ED1. ED1 was just... The opening and ending, the first opening and ending were both so iconic. And it almost feels like they're not even trying to match that. It's a little disappointing. Maybe the next opening and ending will be better, though. We'll see. Either way, so, yeah, the entire thing here, we're just going right into the backstory. We get to see a little bit with Gato at the beginning, But then it goes into Utahime and the money woman. I can't remember her name right now. But they're going off on a mission, end up getting trapped in like this time loop and everything, where even though it seems like maybe hours for them, it's been actually a couple days. And while they're trying to solve it, they end up getting saved by our new main trio of this arc, I guess you could say. We have Gojo, we have Geto, and we have Shoko. The O's. The O group. Um, and there's a lot of questions that it's starting to set up, specifically with Gojo. Because we see that his personality is mostly the same in the current day, but that his mindset in regards to things like moral obligations and all is very different. Because in the past here, as we're seeing, when he was a teenager, he was like, I mean, he's still a little shit, but like he was kind of a terrible little shit in the past. He was, I mean, he still kind of like has a big head about himself, but he was really conceited back then. He seemed to value power over everything else, and to the point where it's like he didn't really care about people at all. And he's just kind of terrible. While Geto, ironically, is the very moralistic one. It seems like they've only honestly kind of switched in the modern day. And I'm wondering why that is. What caused them to have that switch to where Geto ended up becoming the bad guy by the events of Jujutsu Kaisen 0? Clearly way before then, but still. And then is now running this entire operation in the current day through season 1 and all. I'm just wondering where this is all going and how all of this flashback is going to explain everything. Like, why does Gojo now wear the band around his eyes instead of wearing his glasses? Like, is there a specific reason he hides his eyes nowadays? Maybe it has to do with his change in terms of who he is and what he believes and all. Maybe it's because of that. I don't know. But this first episode kind of just reintroduces us to these characters through their younger selves, and we just kind of are getting to know them again, though this time how they used to be. So it's going to work up to how we do know them in the current day. Shoko doesn't seem too different. She doesn't seem to have changed as much. So that one, at least I'll give it that she at least seems to have changed the least out of the three of them. Well, and the other two as well. The other girls as well don't seem to have changed much either. They're pretty much the same as they are in the current day. And at the end here, we also meet who I presume is Megumi's father, because obviously it's this big reveal at the end. He says the person talking to him is like, "Oh, you're in the Zenin clan, right?" He's like, "That's not my last name anymore. I took my wife's name. It's Fushiguro now." Big reveal. It's got to be Megumi's father, right? Like, again, we've briefly heard about him, but don't really know anything. All we know is that Megumi seems to kind of resent him a bit. I guess maybe we'll find out more about that here, too. Like, why he might resent him. Though, obviously, that's into the future, but Megumi is more than likely not even alive here. Well, actually, he might be like a baby. That's possible. But either way. So we get to see that Yaga's pretty much the same as well. And we get kind of what the mission is going for. So Tengen is not yet a tree at this point. He's still, I guess, alive in that sense. So the thing is, Tengen needs to absorb people right now in order to keep his consciousness, basically. Um, and yeah, there's a lot of reasons why this is excessively fucked up. And Yaga seems like he has a good head on his shoulders. He has to know this is fucked up. He has to know that. It's like taking an innocent person and feeding them to this this ancient immortal Jujutsu god, pretty much. It's like, that's not okay. You're literally conducting human sacrifices here. This is not okay. And then you also have the fact that this girl who they have to escort to be used as a human sacrifice is also being targeted by two separate groups. You have a group of cultists who want her dead because they worship Tengen and don't want his body defiled by her because they think that she's impure. And they apparently have the ability to hire people who can use jujutsu techniques and stuff. But then you also have a group of terrorists who just want to see the world burn, which will possibly happen if Tengen doesn't absorb this girl. And it's just like, what? Also, the fucking Digimon reference, oh my god. That threw me off so much. Like, it's just like, just out of nowhere, Gojo starts comparing things to the Agumon line, and it's like, I'm like, wait, please stop, I can't handle this. What? You've caught me so off guard. I understand the reference. I'm a Digimon fan. I get what he's saying, like, specifically referencing Skull Greymon there. Great choice. There's other corrupted Digimon evolutions as well, but Skull Greymon's kind of the go-to for that. Yeah, it's just like, oh my god. That caught me so off guard. I was just flabbergasted. Like, there's no better word for that. I was flabbergasted. But yeah, this was a great start. The visuals are obviously amazing. Honestly, they kind of are almost the quality of the movie, I would say, which is really impressive. That's a huge step up from season one. But the voice acting is great. The story so far with this flashback arc, I guess, is good. Yeah, it's just, I'm just enjoying it so far. This was a strong start. Yeah, this is definitely gonna show, though, how Gato and Gojo clearly had their changes, as well as Gato losing all faith in humanity, and basically the boys break up. And I'm talking about it like they're like a couple or something, but let's be honest, there's tension there. That was very clear in the movie. um, I know a lot of people ship them, so. Yeah, it's just, it's going to be interesting to see how this is all explained. It's definitely going to be interesting. I'm just wondering, it looked like Fushiguro was working with, I assume these are the cultists, specifically because they mentioned working with people with like power users. So, and plus, obviously, there was the setup earlier in the episode where Gojo was like, oh, well, the cultists don't have any powers. We don't have to worry about them. It's like, oh, you're going to be worrying about them. Like, that was so obvious. And if these are them, it looks like that's correct, yeah. Uh, Definitely interested to see where this goes. A pretty strong start. Um, but there was one question I kind of had for myself going into this, and that was, and this is gonna sound kind of random, maybe, but was like with as big a fan of this series as I already am, was this season going to have as strong of a start as another episode from or another show from this season did? Zom 100. Was the first episode of this going to be as good as Zom 100's? And here's the thing, I actually think I'd say no. And don't get me wrong, this episode was absolutely fantastic. But the first episode of Zom 100 was like special kind of good. Like it was not just extremely investing and really surprising, but it was just good in general. It was so damn good. It was wild how good it was. Plus, obviously, if you watched my reaction to that in the first impressions um, showdown video, you also remember that I was very emotionally connected to that episode too. So, to be fair, that might be clouding my judgment at least a little here. To be fair. Um, but also, this is just based on my first time seeing this. I've seen the first episode of Zom 100 a few times by this point. So, I'm definitely going to have to see this episode more times, like probably with other people's reactions, to really get a good feel for it, and my opinion might change. It's not like they're that far apart. It's not like I think like Zom 100 was that much better. But yeah, it's like we'll see. We'll see if my opinion changes. Excuse me. So, just as a reminder, along with Link Click, this is just going to be a Friday series for us. We don't normally do schedules on the channel for anyone who's like tuning in. We don't normally schedule our reactions here. I usually just like put whatever up when I get to it, but both Link Click Season 2 and Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 are currently airing. And both of them, with the dub of JJK and the original Chinese for Link Click, both of them release at a time to where getting to them Friday is perfect. Because Link Click releases early Friday morning, and Jujutsu Kaisen Zero's dub, or not Zero, why did I say Zero? Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2's dub releases later in the afternoon on Thursdays, after the time I typically record at, and beyond the time I would be able to record, really, for the most part. So it just makes sense to get to them both on Fridays. Since they're currently airing, it just makes sense. Everything else on the channel will continue to be unscheduled, just what I get to whatever, whenever. But Fridays are going to be taken up for the currently airing stuff like this. And technically One Piece is currently airing too, but I'm not caught up on that all the way because of the way I've been recording it in like batches again lately. So technically that's being kept separate too right now. If I catch up though with One Piece again, that releases on like late Saturday, early Sunday. Depends on how you want to look at that. So I would have to wait almost a week to get to those if I did those on Fridays as well. So that's not going to happen that way. That's still going to remain with just Even if I do catch up, it's going to be a whenever I get to it kind of thing, which would most likely be earlier in the week. But yeah, so this will be every Friday. We'll get to the next episode next week. I'm very, very interested to see what more this arc has in store, because this is already starting off interesting, raising a lot of questions, and hopefully it's going to answer a lot more. So we'll get to that as we get to that. Also, real quick before I finish, um, the cold open with Gato and everything, it's like he's swallowing the cursed spirits in very much the same way that Soul Eater Evans in Soul Eater swallows souls. It's like it is very similar, and it's like, okay. I mean, we also had a Digimon reference in this, so why not have a Soul Eater reference? But it seemed like Gato was talking about the taste of the souls, and it is very much like a negative aspect to it, or the cursed spirits. But yeah, so I wonder what that's setting up for. Is that setting up that he's already having second guesses about all of this? But that he's not like revealing it to Gojo and Shoko and all? I don't know. He still seems like he's on the right path at the moment, but we don't know what he's thinking behind the scenes outside of maybe that shot there. But that could also be something they're building up to. That could have been like, oh, we're going to show where this is leading, and then we're going to go back a bit, show it get to that point. I don't know. We'll see. Either way, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this first episode of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2? And please, no spoilers. Do not spoil anything if you're a manga reader, if you've already seen the other episodes in the original Japanese. No spoilers. I want to go into this spoiler free, and I don't want to know what's coming. So yeah, thank you so much, and for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.